the rules for modifying a verb. Something is slow or it's happening slowly, like an adverb in English, you see. And then there's some languages that don't even have a verb to be. What do I mean? In Arabic, for example, if I say, Karim min Beirut fi Lebanon, what I just said was, Karim, that's a man's name, min, that's from, Beirut, from the city of Beirut, fi, that means in, Lebanon. Huwa tabib, he doctor. Huwa means he, tabib means doctor. Fil mustashfa, ana muhandis min Abu Dhabi. What he just said was, he a doctor in a hospital. Ana muhandis means I am an engineer from Abu Dhabi. Now, the Arabic language does not have a verb to be or an auxiliary verb. You have what is called an equative clause or a topic and a comment. When you say it, you make it exist. In the Niger-Congo languages, there's a concept called nomo. When you speak it, you bring it into existence. You don't need to predicate existence again with a verb to be, because the minute you said a noun, you made it exist. So somebody say, where your mama at? Where your mama at? Now, a lot of us, especially from down home in Bigfoot country, the people used to try to tell us how to say English, and they would tell us behind the preposition at, because in the English language you don't put prepositions. The word preposition means in the preposition. So if you got it out there, where your mama at, you are using English words, but that's not English grammar. You haven't plugged into the English thought process. They know what you're talking about, but a teacher will bleed all over your paper if you put where your mama at. You see what I'm saying? And even if you leave the word "at" off of it and just say, where your mama? You have to have a verb to be. You can say, where is your mama? Or where's your mama? That's just a contraction of is to where, and you get the contracted form, where's. But you can't say, where your mama? Where Bobby and them at? Okay? You are not speaking English just because you're using English words. I'm trying to get a concept across, and that is that English has a verb to be. But if you come from a language where there is no verb to be, then there's a phenomenon called relexification. That is, whenever the speaker of one language attempts to speak a target language that's structurally different from his own, there's a tendency for the mother tongue to interfere, or you will see what's called intrusions. Those are two terms that you will commonly hear referring to a fact that a person has developed habits from speaking their mother tongue, and after speaking their mother tongue for so many years, they think that all they have to do is take the words from this other language and use them according to the way they think, and they're going to be able to say something to somebody. But it don't happen like that. And so we find that there's this interference modification, meaning the mother tongue sometimes interfere or will intrude. Now, those are two very negative terms, but I'm introducing them to you because you'll run up on them in some literature. I'm just sharing what the concept is, and that is that the mother tongue interferes and modifies the target language where it's structurally different. Whether it's phonetically different, morphologically, and syntactically, that means putting the sounds together, and syntax meaning putting them in a string to say a sentence. Whether it is morphological or syntactical, whatever kinds of interference you are experiencing, it modifies the target language where it's structurally different. The second thing then would be a less objectionable term. You're talking about transfer phenomena. That's a more neutral way of describing what's happening when your mother tongue is affecting the way you're trying to speak another language. There's some transfer phenomena. That transfer phenomena, when it's critically looked at, will be linguistic retentions. Linguistic retentions, that is, you're retaining patterns from your mother tongue. And it is these retentions from your mother tongue that are exhibiting themselves and transferring itself as you see the evidence of the lexicon, the vocabulary from the target language attempted to be spoken. A good example of that would be a Russian physicist. And the Russian physicist is telling you about some experiments that he's been doing on the molecular structure of the wall. The molecular structure of the wall. You get that? Now, There is no TH in the initial position in East European language. That theta and ev are the symbols to represent voiced and voiceless TH sounds. Okay? That R sound in English, which is called a retroflex velar spirant, that means you retract the tongue back, R, R, R. That's the way it's made in English. But in East European languages, the R sound would be made as an apico-alveolar trill. That's the tip of the tongue against the alveolar ridge. And you get a ra, re, ru, re, ro. See, that apico-alveolar trill, that's the way that sound is made in East European, like in Arabic, Spanish, Japanese, ra, re, ru, re, ro. That's the way you make that sound in those languages. But Russian can't make that R sound, R, R. And the bilabial velar glide is represented by the alphabet W. That wah, 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 that bilabial velar glide, you won't find that in East European languages. So instead of a W, he'll give you a labiodental fricative, which is a B sound. B, 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 b. So instead of the molecular structure of the wall, you're going to get the molecular structure of the wall. The molecular structure of the wall is interference modification. Okay, now, ain't no problem. A German or a Russian, they sound real heavy when they tell you the molecular structure of the wall. But if I come up here and tell you molecular structure of the wall, molecular structure of the wall, molecular structure of the wall gonna be the molecular structure of the wall every time I say the molecular structure of the wall. Why? That's the way my mama said it, molecular structure of the wall. That's the way my daddy said it, molecular structure of the wall. That's the way my grandma, Liza O'Neal, molecular structure of the wall. Big ain't it, little ain't it, wall of wall niggas where I've been living all my life, said molecular structure of the wall. I don't have no control over who my mama is, who my daddy is, who my grandma, and who my playmates is, where I'm born all my life and I've been talking. I don't have no control over that. To the extent, then, that United States slave descendants of African origin have been born here in America, but living in social isolation from the mainstream Euro-American English-speaking population, in the deep structure, the language of slave descendants of African origin is not English. You have borrowed in European words, but the deep structure of the way we talk does not follow their morphological or their syntactical root. All human beings learn the language they speak in the environment in which it is spoken and heard. I'm going to say that again. Everybody in this room, the reason you talk like you talk, you learn how to talk in the environment in which some noise was being made, and in the environment in which language was being spoken and heard. That's why you come to talk like you talk. If you was born and nothing went through your auricle or pinna, that's this cartilage on the side of my face here, okay, what you call the ear, in through the external auditory meatus, that's the ear canal, through the tympanium or tympanic membrane, that's what you call the eardrum. And on the other side of the eardrum, there are three ossicles or bones called the malleus, the incus, and the stapes, which you call the hammer, the anvil, and the stirrup. And that's connected to a little snail-shaped organ called the cochlea. And this organ has fluid in it called endolymph and perilymph. And inside this cochlea, there are little fibers called cilia. And this acoustic energy is converted in the cochlea into an electrochemical charge. And at the other end of the cochlea, there are semicircular canals. And at the other end of the semicircular canal, there's an eighth cranial nerve. And at the end of the eighth cranial nerve, there are axons and dendrites. And if a baby don't hear a sound across the synaptic cleft, it don't hear no sound, it don't learn how to speak no language, period. Y'all don't hear me. If you don't hear a sound, you don't learn how to talk no language, period. So the reason black people talk the way they sound is because all our life we've been hearing black sounds. We've been hearing these black sounds here in America, influenced by the vocabulary of the European.